We're your friends. We're not like the others, man. Really.
No more of that talk or I'll put the fucking leashes on you, understand? Get in.
Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm 𝔲𝑖, this is Capricorn. Today's deck is another one coming out of the very first week of Duskmourn Standard, Duskmourn being legal in Standard, and honestly, it's probably my favorite deck out of everything I've tried. It's kind of insane, and it's absolutely crushing the ranked ladder right now for me, so I had to share it with you guys. This one is called Fear and Loathing. And the idea is we're going back to Skeleton Tribal, but we're doubling down on it by also cross-synergizing, cross-pollinating the synergies, if you will, with Enchantment Tribal. And it doesn't seem like that would be a thing at first, but because Corpse of the Lost and Case of the Stashed Skeleton are the best skeleton cards, and they're both enchantments, combined with the new card Skullsnap Nuisance and a ton of new uncommons, it actually ends up being kind of insane. And what's great about this card as well is it doesn't use any new rares from the new set, other than we dabble with a couple of the new rare lands. But other than that, it's just a ton of new uncommons. And in that way, it's kind of budget. If you already have a skeleton deck, you already have the rares from those decks in the past. You don't really need to crack any rare wildcards to make this work. And that just makes it even more insane because this deck is, guys, when I say this deck is insane, you don't understand. You don't understand. I'm obsessed with it. It's smashing the ladder. It beat most of the people it came up against during community night. It's just a force to be reckoned with, and I haven't seen anybody else try to build this. Not anything close to what I'm trying to do with this. I've seen plenty of people trying to do enchantment synergies, using Inquisitive Glimmer, some of the other cards that I'm using, like Sheltered by Ghosts, but I haven't seen anybody approach a deck like this in this way. So I'm going to shut up and we're going to get to breaking down the deck. Before I do, make sure you like the video if you haven't already. You guys liking every video does help the video get out to so many more people, and that's what helps the channel to grow. So without you guys liking the videos, the channel does not grow. And so you guys that have been liking the videos every time, I appreciate you so much. Smash the like button. Help me out. I'm at a loss for words. You guys need to see this deck, so I'm going to shut up. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. Catch me live Monday through Friday over on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/quarantinedcapricorn, because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. This video has been brought to you by Wonders of the First, but I'll tell you about that later. Let's just break down the deck. Alright, I am so in love with this deck. Honestly, there was one card in particular from the new set. As soon as I saw it, I knew exactly what I needed to brew, and that's Skullsnap Nuisance. 2 mana for a 1/4 insect skeleton with flying in the colors of 𝑇𝑒𝑚𝑒𝑟, and it has this eerie ability whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, you surveil one. So for 2 mana, you get a flying skeleton, and you also get a trigger that happens whenever an enchantment enters that lets you surveil. My mind immediately went to the 2 best skeleton tribal cards we have access to right now. One being Corpses of the Lost, 1 black and 2 for an enchantment, creates a skeleton token, a 2/2 skeleton token when it enters the battlefield, gives all skeletons +1/+0 and haste, and then if you descend during your turn at any point, you get to return Corpse of the Lost to your hand, albeit you need to pay 1 life in order to do it, and then you can recast it on a later turn, get another token, keep doing that potentially over time. And the other enchantment is Case of the Stashed Skeleton. 2 mana, creates a 2/1 menace skeleton when it enters the battlefield. Granted, it can't block because it's suspected, but if that token is ever gone, you get to solve the case, and then once it's solved, you can pay 2 mana at any time, sacrifice the case to search for any card at all and put it into your hand. Both of those cards have always been really amazing together and have always been kind of the core, the backbone behind skeleton tribal decks. But the other thing they share in common is they're both enchantments. So as soon as I saw the Skullsnap Nuisance, I was like, not only does this become a 2/4 flying haste for 2 mana if you have the Corpses of the Lost, but both Corpses of the Lost and Case of the Stashed Skeleton upon entering trigger the Eerie ability, with Corpses of the Lost being even more important because the Eerie ability will surveil one, and as long as your deck is almost all permanents or all permanents, possibly like this one, you put that card into your graveyard and it will immediately trigger the Corpses of the Lost Descend ability and let you return it back to your hand. So there's just an insane amount of synergy, not only with this getting the skeleton buffs and being a really good body for the rate, but also in basically being able to combo and keep triggering the Descend on Corpses of the Lost. You can keep bringing it back to your hand, and every single turn just keep adding more and more and more gas to the board, which gets really, really crazy. So the entire deck was sort of built around that concept, but then in Duskmourn, we found some more synergies that work super well with this deck that we absolutely had to include. And honestly, the deck kind of goes off the rails because of it. So first up, we've got Inquisitive Glimmer, 2 mana for a 2/3 enchantment creature Fox Glimmer in the colors of Azorius. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and unlock costs you pay for rooms cost 1 less. Now, that last part doesn't really matter, but all of our enchantment spells costing 1 less is insane. That means you can play Inquisitive Glimmer on 2, and then, assuming you have the right dual lands and the right colors, you could play a Corpse of the Lost on 3 for just 2 mana, and a Case of the Stashed Skeleton on 3 as well for just the 1 mana. You could spend your total of 3 mana on getting both of those 5 mana worth of cards onto the battlefield on turn 3, and then have 2 crazy, hasty attacking skeletons in addition to your Inquisitive Glimmer, which is already kind of insane. But then the fact that the Skullsnap Nuisance has this Eerie ability, we want most of the cards in the deck to be enchantments so that we can double down on the consistency of being able to not only continuously return Corpses of the Lost to our hand, but also constantly dig for the best possible card in the scenario that we're in. Being able to just surveil every single turn, sometimes multiple times in a turn, lets us find the exact right card we need for any given situation, and that alone can be incredibly powerful while synergizing with all of the other synergies that we're trying to do. So Inquisitive Glimmer makes this deck just completely pop off, and then obviously we're doubling down on enchantment synergies because of that. So some of the other new cards we're using, probably the best uncommon in the set, Sheltered by Ghost. This is 2 mana for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature you control when it enters, and you exile any non-land permanent an opponent controls until Sheltered by Ghost leaves the battlefield. The enchanted creature also gets +1/+0, lifelink, and ward 2. This thing is insane. The fact that this can get the cost reduction from Inquisitive Glimmer, since there is 1 colorless cost in the cost, means that it can come down for just 1 mana under the right scenario. But what's crazy about this is just how much value it gets you. And sure, there is the downside of if you don't play this card just right and really think ahead, you could get 3 for 1, right? You put it on your creature, you exile their problematic permanent, and then if the opponent has removal they can use that gets through the ward, they get rid of your creature, they get rid of the Sheltered by Ghosts, and they get their thing back, and they 3 for 1 you, and it feels really, really awful. So the trick to using Sheltered by Ghost to its full maximum potential is by making it really hard to get rid of the thing that it's on, or to make it so that if they do get rid of the thing that it's on, you get extra value. And that's one of the things we can do with this deck. If we take the Sheltered by Ghosts and we put it on our token that we made with Case of the Stashed Skeleton, well, now they're in a screwed if you do, screwed if you don't situation where if they do kill it and get back their thing, they also solve the case, which means we can just crack the case and, worst case scenario, use it to look for another Sheltered by Ghosts and just do it all over again. Best case scenario, we could even find something better than the Sheltered by Ghosts if we don't care about removing their non-land permanent again. Maybe find a second Corpse of the Lost or some kind of insane value where we can just start to really take over the game and win and not even care that they got back their value from whatever we exiled with the Sheltered by Ghosts. So there's just so much insane versatility in that play. It gets absolutely bonkers. But The other thing that's really cool about Sheltered by Ghosts is, sure, they can 3-for-1 you, but keep in mind, you give Ward 2 to the thing you put it on. So sometimes, even though you're risking a 3-for-1, you can actually put this on a key creature that you don't want them to kill, and it could make it so it takes them an extra turn or two to kill it, and actually saves your creature, even though it puts a target on their backs. So sometimes, if you play this just right and you plan ahead, you can actually benefit way more than just the exiling. The lifelink matters. It helps you, buff out your life total against aggro. The +1 attack matters. It being an enchantment matters. And in certain scenarios, the Ward 2 can really matter, especially if you get a second Sheltered by Ghosts on the same creature, and now it has Ward 4. This card is just absolutely insane. You have to be careful. You have to play it right. You have to anticipate your opponent trying to 3-for-1 you. But if you do, it gets really insane. And another card that's really good to enchant this to get extra value if they do end up taking out the creature that is enchanted to is Fear of Infinity. This is another new card from Duskmourn. 3 mana in the colors of Dimir for a 2/2 enchantment creature nightmare with flying and lifelink. It can't block, so in a lot of ways this card does remind me of 𝐀𝐫𝐞𝐧𝐵 because it gives you a creature that can't block but that you don't necessarily mind losing, because the other ability here is its Eerie ability. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, you may return Fear of Infinity from your graveyard to your hand. So, almost everything in the deck is an enchantment. Almost everything in the deck can just bring Fear of Infinity back from the graveyard to your hand. So, if Fear of Infinity is enchanted by the Sheltered by Ghosts, you don't lose as much if they 3-for-1 you, because all you do is just play one of your enchantments, Fear of Infinity's back in your hand, and then it's back on the board, going to town. And the lifelink truly matters. The fact that it has both flying and lifelink means it's just swinging in for 2 and gaining you 2 life every single turn, and making up for the fact that it can't block. So this just does everything right, and a lot of times it's the perfect target to surveil away, whether that be to one of the surveil lands or maybe to a trigger from the Skullsnap Nuisance. Just get it in your graveyard, because then it's free value. As soon as you play your next enchantment, it's just coming back to your hand anyway, and you can get even more value that way. The card is just bananas in this build. That being said, we're not usually going to have enough mana to play multiple of these in the same turn, so we are going to stick to just 3, because as soon as we just find 1, which in this deck is a lot easier to do because of all of the surveilling, that's enough, right? We can continuously use that 1 over and over and over, and just add to our aggro. And you would think it's just 2 power, so it doesn't make that much of a difference, but with the lifelink, it makes a ton of difference. And in addition, we have another new card that makes it even crazier in Ethereal Armor. Because we're going so wide with so many enchantments, this thing comes down for just 1 mana and gives any creature that it's enchanted to +1/+1 for each enchantment you control. That counts the creatures like Fear of Infinity. It counts your Corpses of the Lost, Case of the Stashed Skeleton, the Sheltered by Ghosts you played, the Inquisitive Glimmer. Everything buffs up your creature to high hell, and not only that, it also gives the creature first strike. So you put this on one of your lifelinkers, whether it's the Fear of Infinity or something that the Sheltered by Ghosts is on, and all of a sudden you're swinging in for a ton of life, and there's no way aggro can outpace you. This deck is just an absolute aggro killer, and I just love it. I just love it, honestly. In addition, we have another new card, Shard Mage's Rescue. 1 white mana for an enchantment aura with flash. Enchanted creature you control. As long as Shard Mage's Rescue entered this turn, that creature has hexproof, and then it gives that creature +1/+1. So not only is this a 1 mana instant speed way to save our creature from removal because of the hexproof, but it synergizes with literally every synergy. It gives an extra +1/+1 just by itself. It gives an extra +1/+1 on anything that has Ethereal Armor. It helps protect whatever the Sheltered by Ghosts is on so that you don't get 3-for-1. It triggers the Eerie triggers on Skullsnap Nuisance and Fear of Infinity. It just does everything, and it's perfect, and I love it. It's so good. In addition, we're running Mockingbird. This is a card we saw in Bloomburrow. Absolutely insane in this deck. It's really good with any kind of token creatures that are somewhat hefty, right? And our skeleton tokens are sort of a perfect target in that way. 1 blue and X for a 1/1 flyer, and it can become a copy of any creature on the battlefield with a total mana value less than or equal to the amount of mana spent to cast the Mockingbird. So all you have to do is pay the 1 blue mana and put nothing into X, and you can make a copy of a token, since tokens cost nothing. So you can become a token of your skeleton or of your Corpse of the Lost Skeleton, and immediately come down as a 1 mana 3/2 flying haste, which is just bananas. So a lot of times out of nowhere, this deck can just hit the board with a ton of skeletons and just swing and just win, and it gets absolutely absurd. But the fact that this skeleton has flying means all the other possible enchantments that you're playing, the auras that you're playing, could stack up on this and be even that much more valuable because of the flying specifically. You can get through for a ton of damage with stuff like Ethereal Armor or Sheltered by Ghosts piled on top. Just an absolute insane addition. And then we've also got 4 copies of Invasion of Gobakhan, which is a card that I think a lot of people have forgotten about. But this card is absolutely nuts in this deck. Honestly, every card in this deck is absolutely nuts, and thank goodness I don't need to cut anything because I don't know what I'd cut. Everything is perfect. Invasion of Gobakhan comes down for 2 mana, exiles any card from their hand and makes it cost 2 more to cast, which means you get to out-tempo them, make it so they can't cast the most important thing on curve, which is already really good. But then it's even better in a deck where you have aggressive creatures they don't want to kill, which is the perfect example when we're talking about the token that the Case of the Stash Skeleton makes, or the Fear of Infinity. It's stuff they really don't want to kill because they give you extra value if they do. But by not killing it, you're able to play an Invasion of Gobakhan and immediately swing in on that Gobakhan because they never killed those creatures, and flip it immediately. And when it flips, you get to play a free enchantment. It counts as casting the enchantment called Light Shield Array. So this free enchantment is going to trigger all of our enchantment synergies, like the Eerie on Fear of Infinity, the Eerie on Skullsnap Nuisance, and count as another enchantment for stuff like Ethereal Armor. But then what the enchantment does is also nuts. At the beginning of your end step, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that attacked this turn. So all of those attacking creatures that your opponent really didn't want to waste removal on, now they're even bigger, and their opponent feels like they have to use removal on it. But now they can't, because the other ability of Light Shield Array is you can sacrifice it to give all creatures you control hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So this thing just keeps stacking up counters on all of your creatures every turn. And then if they ever try to kill them, even if they try to use board wipe, unless it's exile board wipe, you can protect them by sacrificing the Light Shield Array, which is bananas. But if you don't have to, they just keep getting counters, keep getting counters, keep getting counters. And because with the 4 Sheltered by Ghosts and the 3 Fear of Infinity, there's such a good way of getting lifelinkers onto the battlefield, we can build up those lifelinkers with a ton of counters, or just make them go super tall with Ethereal Armor, so that even if we are attacking with everything every turn to try to get the most out of the Light Shield Array, we're gaining so much life that it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter if we're up against aggro and they're cracking back, because we're gaining more life than they can even do damage on the crackback. So everything works so well with everything else in so many insane ways. Between the 4 Light Shield Arrays, Invasion of Gobakhans, Shard Mage's Rescue, the Ward 2 from Sheltered by Ghosts, we have so many ways to protect our board, and then we just have so many ways to go completely ham with so much aggression, with skeletons coming out of nowhere, swinging for the win, piled up with Ethereal Armor. It just gets absolutely absurd. This is easily my favorite deck coming out of Duskmourn. Will it stay that way? I don't know. There's so many more decks that are on the way that I have to experiment with and build out. So many crazy ideas, but right now, this is my favorite one. It's just nuts. I love this deck. It's almost unstoppable. It's probably got like a 90-ish% win rate on the ranked ladder. Granted, I've only played a couple dozen games with it, but it's just insane. I can't say enough good things about this deck. The mana base does have to be very specific, especially because Inquisitive Glimmer, making that cost reduction happen for your enchantments, means almost everything that you're playing always requires very specific colors, with no wiggle room for colorless mana once Inquisitive Glimmer comes online, which means you can't take chances of not having the exact right colors of mana you need, which means everything in the deck, every land in the deck needs to be a dual land, because you need the absolute most availability of specific colored pips in your mana sources as possible. I originally experimented with things like Fabled Passage and stuff like that, thinking it could help to trigger Descend for Corpses of the Lost, and I found that if you have any more than just one land in the whole deck that makes only one color, you constantly get in situations where you don't have the right assortment of colors, and instead of being able to play out everything with all of your mana, you're left with like one black source and white spells in your hand, stuff like that you can't play out, and you're just not able to get the absolute maximum efficiency out of Inquisitive Glimmer because of that. So you need to make sure you're playing pretty much all duels. You are at a little bit of risk to land destruction, but I don't see as much of that popping up these days, so I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. And also, it is really important to use the Surveil lands, because the Surveil lands will help you not only dig to the cards you need, but also trigger your Corpses of the Lost. So we do have 3 Meticulous Archive and 4 Shadowy Backstreet as our Surveil lands to make sure we're doing that. We're messing around with 1 Floodfarm Verge and 1 Gloomlake Verge that give you access to one of the colors, and then the second color comes online if you have a basic land type, and because we have those 7 Surveil lands that count as those basic land types, helps turn those on. We're running 1 Restless Reef, because it can help us mill ourselves to get things like Fear of Infinity into the graveyard. And then we've also got just 1 𝑺𝒌𝒆𝒄𝒄 Lair. This is that one land I was talking about that can only come in as one color, but you do get to choose what color it is, and the important thing about this land is it counts as an enchantment. So if you get this a little bit later in the game, it's just a free way to trigger your eerie synergies like Skullsnap Nuisance and Fear of Infinity. It's absolutely worth having at least one of these in the deck. In a perfect world, I'd like to run 4, just to have as many opportunities to trigger our eerie synergies as possible, but we just can't have that many lands in the deck that only make one color. It just, in practice, it just results in too many scenarios where you're stuck with an extra card in hand and an extra land on the battlefield. You can't tap for mana, even though you have the right amount of mana to cast everything in your hand. You just don't have the right colors adding up. So we are going to run the 1. We're going to try to get as much value out of that 1 as we can, but other than that, we're running all duels. The deck's just crazy. I'm going to shut up and we're going to check out the games, because it's just absurd and I love it, and you need to see it in action. Let's check out the games. I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Wonders of the First. Wonders of the First is a brand new collectible card game similar to games like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, featuring a unique action-based resource economy that helps avoid pitfalls like mana flood or mana screw, and a battlefield containing multiple realms that unlock over time as you fight for control of the stones. The first 400 card set is called Existence and will launch to retail in the fall, but playtest team starter kits are available to order now. And they haven't forgotten about all you collectors out there. The game contains alternate borderless art variants, as well as highly sought after limited edition numbered prints, culminating in a 1-of-1 stone foil. And the best part is that the developers have a community-first approach, with 8 print-and-play decks available on their website, as well as a version of the game available on Tabletop Simulator, all for free. For more information, be sure to check out wondersccg.com today. That's wondersccg.com. This is great. We're gonna keep it. I'm going to start with the archive. It's not great until later, but I think I'm still going to keep it. Do we go Gobakhan on 2? Guess. Invasion of Amonkhet. Overlord of the Hauntwoods. Well, let's slow you down. Let's slow you down. Pass the turn. I guess we'll find probably a black source, right? Maybe we do need one less tapped land than we have right now. Right now we're evenly split between how many lands can come into play untapped on 2. I think we dump you. Might be wrong. Alright, fetch the black. Everything is fine. Everything is good. Flip the Gobakhan. Everything is good. Everything is grand. Hello, friend. 𝐀𝐫𝐞𝐧𝑚. Sometimes I really wonder how people come up with their names. Like, out of every name you could have picked, for some reason, 𝐀𝐫𝐞𝐧𝑚. I will discard a card. What will I discard? I'll discard. I don't think I need it. Inquisitive Glimmer? Well, that's not really going to work right now. Let's just do this. Let's just do this. Take back the Fear of Infinity that we dumped. And smack for 9 and put counters on everything and protect our board and do all things that are good. All the things that are good. Alright, you remove your counters, and you get what? A Valgavoth, maybe? You're gonna be a Valgavoth? A 4/4 Valgavoth? That's fair. Das ist fair. How do I do the most here? Can only play one thing that requires white at most. Let's kill Valgavoth. How about we do that? How about we kill Valgavoth? Four, 12. Alright, we're gonna kill Valgavoth. Unless he has instant speed removal. But I don't think he's prepared for that, so. Has to block it. First strike means we kill it before he gains any life. Oh, God. Well, do we need to get our indestructible then? Doesn't have death touch, right? So I think we're good. Does gain the life, which sucks. Maybe we should have attacked with everything. It's possible. It's definitely possible we should have just attacked with everything. Is that a Teletubby or a Mega Man, Remy? Good God. Dropping the wild emotes in chat. What is our opponent doing? Dinosaur. Sure. Kind of a fun deck, though. Oh, you brought the hype, alright. Monket. Again. I know what we're discarding. Oh, wait, he gets to play it with Valgavoth. That's so bad. Well, it's probably best to give him something that can't block, right? Freaking Valgavoth, bro. Attack my Mockingbird. Do it! Gobakhan. Gobakhan actually gives him something to cast, which is kind of hilarious. He's pretty low on life, though. So he's going to take the protection spell. Do we still get to play it? Yes, I believe we can. So we both get to play it. I think we can both play it. Come on. Block here. And we're not going to use the Light Shield Array because we want to protect our win conditions. Virtue of Persistence. Well, now he probably can't play anything, right? So now we can use the Light Shield Array to protect our win conditions. And then we just go Glimmer, Case, Smash. Yeah, we made it happen. One land, can't do it. 3 lands. Let's see, Inquisitive Glimmer on 2. And then that gives me a black and a white. Alright, we keep this, we toss back you. This should be fine. Everything is fine. How are you? Yeah, we'll keep the armor. I'm greedy. What do you want from me? Glimmer. See if we can get him to use up his removal. Liliana. The answer to that question is yes.
With the mysteries. I've come for answers.
It's okay though.
One of your friends has to leave.
Archive. I'm gonna get greedy again, and I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it. Insane. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. My favorite planeswalker, you're wondering, Remy? My favorite planeswalker. Are we talking from like a lore, story, character perspective, or mechanics? I think we have to get rid of the armor. It would have been insane double ethereal armor, though. It would have been insane. Another Lily. Well, that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. Lily's gonna eat me for breakfast. And there isn't really anything I can do about it. If I attack and kill that Lily, he just plays the next one, so he kind of lets it through. So we can't force him to block with Zoraline and kill Zoraline. If I put anything on the Nuisance, it's a waste, because he's just going to down-tick the Lily. So I think we just have to pass the turn and hold on to everything. Which feels really bad. Weird. I guess he wanted the 𝐽𝑗𝐿𝐵𝐴𝐻 gone. How bizarre. How bizarre. I mean, this is over, right? We can't get through Zoraline and Lily. At least we'll get to solve our case, right? It's not the worst ever. We need the removal, and we need a creature. So we need to top deck a creature. That works. Do we just make a Zoraline here? I think so. We don't know what that last card is, but... we'll make a Zoraline. And did he top deck removal for it? Probably. 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 During tenacity. Interesting. No blocks. No blocks.
Drop it.
Goodbye, 𝔽𝒂bakhan. Auto pay. We'll get Inquisitive Glimmer back. We'll see if he tries to trade his Zoraline or not. If he does, we Shard Mage's Rescue to protect ours. But if he doesn't... I guess that's probably right. And now we sacrifice the Inquisitive Glimmer to the Lily. We might actually be able to pull this off.
Waste of my time. That's my due to love. One of your friends has to leave.
Deep Cavern Bat, my sheltered by ghosts. Oh, you dick. You dick. We needed that. No blocks. We really need lifelink, don't we? What can we find in our deck that we can play for 1 mana? Nothing really, right? Sheltered by Ghosts was going to be so good because it would have hit the temporary lockdown. Well, I guess our one chance here is to do this. Because now we have first strike. So next turn, if he attacks, we kill the Tenacity in combat before the Deep Cavern Bat does damage. Although it's just going to come back as a non-creature anyway, right? Either way, we have a big first striking blocker now. We're going to play that for black. So next turn, we can crack the case to find Sheltered by Ghosts, and then play it to exile the Lockdown, which gets a card out of his hand and another creature onto the field. And then we can swing in and flip the Gobakhan. We could do all things that are good, essentially. He didn't attack. We've got another Sheltered by Ghosts. Amazing. Dude. Oh, no witnesses. But he's also got a temporary lockdown, right? So we're going to lose all of our 2-drop stuff. We got to hit the temp lockdown so that he takes out his own creatures, right? Well, I mean, he can still play it. Doesn't really matter. Man, we can get him to 1 and get ourselves up to 15. Alright, so we'll gain a bunch of life. We'll flip the Gobakhan.
Now I have a
That
machine
makes it
gun.
so he has to play temporary lockdown. Because no witnesses and Zoraline still survives. And then we have lethal. Oh, you're right. He needs extra white mana. I missed that part. Okay. Well, I think we got it then. They lose half their life, sure. We have first strike. That does not work. He's thinking he's at least going to make us lose 3 to the tenacity and then trigger the grievous wound. But no, we have first strike. So it dies. Oh my god. I don't care about the tenacity. Yeah. So good. So good. You must go here. You must do the here. Okay? Good girl. We're keeping 7. Oh, you're gonna fall. You're gonna fall, kitten. Don't fall. You're just too relaxed. You're too relaxed. Right? You're too relaxed. You're gonna do falling. You don't want to do falling. Alright, Goober. 4 flyer does seem kind of okay. Probably not good enough though, right? Let's just Gobakhan and see if we can get something important out of his hand. Yes, let's get rid of that. He did top deck a land, it looks like. So he can still play it. Alright, swings 3. Trying to set himself up for next turn, it looks like. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It still won't be lethal, right? So, we'll go Fear of Infinity. Does he have a shock in his hand? He doesn't have lethal. Why isn't he playing the slick shot though? Really weird. He could have won right there if he played the slick shot. Shard Mage's Rescue. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll make a flying Heartfire hero. And then the question is, do we want Sheltered by Ghosts or another blocker? I think probably Sheltered by Ghosts. We eat the big guy that has trample. Take back the Fear of Infinity. And then we have a 3/2 life-linking blocker. We're not super set up for subsequent turns, but we can at least survive this, I think. Yes. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Blue, black, nuisance. Eerie, dump. Rescue. Gobakhan, dump. Swing, gain 8 life. Flip it. Eerie, dump. End the turn. And now we have a blocker that we can give Indestructible to. I think it's over, bro. see. We shall see. What is that last card? Might of the Meek. Yeah, that is not enough. I might not even want to sack the Light Shield Array, to be honest. We gain one more life when we swing next turn. That might not be good enough. Yeah, let's just do it. Get indestructible. Go to 5. Backstreet's back, alright. We want enchantments on the field for this boy. Neither of these can block. Just kind of a problem. I think we just keep the big life linking first striker. Just pass the turn. Like, what's he gonna do now? Sure. Welcome to First Strike Lifelink, my friend. Welcome to First Strike Lifelink. You tried. You certainly tried. You certainly tried. I'm not even going to take the slick shot. I'm going to take your ley line, buddy. Get these lands out of here. Swing with all the lifelink. All of it. Put you at 4 and me at 24. Good luck, Mr. Slickshot. Who's showing off now, buddy? Two slow lands. Not great. I think we're gonna keep it though. We're gonna try to find another land. More removal? Nah, it's just not what this deck is. Jesus. Just all the Surveil lands. Just all of them. Armored Armadillo. Is he just piling up ores on it? Probably. You gotta get ready. Gotta get ready, boys. We want to play a case of the stashed skeleton, right? So we're gonna go white, blue, glimmer, case. Let's see who's faster. Scuba Steve. We be Scuba Steven. Do we Mockingbird or do we armor? Let's try this. Swing for 12. Seems okay. Put him at 10. We're gonna Backstreet's back all right. Dump the Nuisance. Bring back the corpse. I think we can swing for an insane amount of damage next turn. If he plays aggressively and doesn't deal with our board state, okay, kind of doing both. I'm assuming he's gonna hit the 5/4 skeleton. We still have a pretty crazy board that we're about to hit with, though. We can attack for 14. Which is not enough to kill, unfortunately. It's not enough. Probably should have held back a blocker, but it's fine. If he has another Ethereal Armor, that's where things get problematic. But without the Ethereal Armor, I don't think he's got me this turn. And if he doesn't have me this turn, I think we got him next turn, even with the lifelink. Find out. He could have me here. One off. 1. Goes to 20. Ward 1. See, that's the problem. We could crack this, find removal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's just not gonna work. Ah, we forgot to... God damn it. I forgot to tap my mana correctly. Which means now we have... one less than we thought we were gonna have. The trample totally wrecks us no matter what we do. Good game. Yeah, even if I had the Mockingbird, we still only get him down to 8. The other thing we could have done is we could have cracked the case to find removal. But the problem is we don't have the mana left over to pay the ward to use it the same turn. This actually looks pretty good. We'll keep this. Hey, thanks for the love, Remy. I appreciate you. Alright, we're going to start with the Backstreet. Dump a courtyard? Yeah, dump a courtyard. We'll go Verge. And we'll go, I guess, Glimmer, right? Can't kill it without a lightning strike. And then we can play 2 things next turn instead of 1. We can play Sheltered by Ghost and Ethereal Armor and swing in and gain a bunch of life. Seems really good to me. Slick shot. Do you have what it takes, sir? Could you describe the ruckus, sir? Doesn't attack with the scamp. Wild. Wild. We eat you. No. We don't want him to draw a card, right? Let's eat the show off. And we'll also play a case. And we'll also play an armor. And we'll swing for 7 and gain 7 and go back up to 20. Good luck. Good luck, friend. That's it? That's all you got for me? You didn't even swing with the scamp? You didn't even swing with the scamp. Good grief. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.